I thank Dr. Pramod Jaiswal for this invitation. And he asked me to talk about Nepal's relation with Europe and the United States, means America. It will not be possible to cover uh, all countries, but let me try what I can do. As we know, Nepal's home is in Asia between India and China. They are our intimate neighbors and friends in need. At the same time, Nepal's old friends are in Europe and America. Our first diplomatic relation was with the United Kingdom, and then Nepal went to establish diplomatic relation with the United States in 1947, April. I think it was 25th. And then, of course, with independent India in 1947, though we have a very old, ancient relations, civilizational relations with India, and as Nepal started its international journey in 1950, we Nepal had diplomatic relations with four countries, and three of them, two of them in Europe, and one of them is the United States, the other, of course, India. And then comes China in 1955. Nepal's geostrategic location has largely attracted the attention of the countries far and wide, and that of permanent five members of the United Nations Security Council. The lone superpower, the United States, has been our reliable development partner. United Kingdom remains our oldest friend and development partner. Maintaining and strengthening friendly and cooperative relations with them is an important pillar of Nepal's foreign policy. Our engagement with these countries runs through various areas of cooperation. Apart from political, economic, trade, and people to people relations of late are emerging as the most dynamic feature in our relations with these countries in Europe and America. Nepal engages with European countries individually and through the European Union. Of course, these relations cover in investment, trade, and as I said, people to people relations. Europe and America remain the top tourist contributing countries to Nepal. We work closely at the United Nations. We all work collectively towards the realization of sustainable development goal and in addressing the global challenges like climate change, pandemic, and others. There are a number of mechanisms for engagement, and democracy and human rights bind us together. The population there is a strategic asset and has been of great importance in enhancing bilateral relations, advancing national interest. US assistance has gone a long way in socio-economic transformation of the Nepali society, starting from the eradication of malaria from Tarai. US wants an independent and sovereign Nepal. That reminds me of a statement that ambassador in 50s, Ellsworth Bunker said, the importance of Nepal's independence as a stone in the arc of the world freedom and progress is as necessary and important as any other to help Nepal make its contribution towards the arc of world freedom and progress is reason enough for our assistance. So the United States and the entire international community greatly appreciate and respect Nepal's valuable contribution to global peace and security through its participation under the UN umbrella in peacekeeping. US has provided support for enhancing our army's professionalism, and they have conducted even joint military exercises. Washington appreciates Nepal's commitment to safeguarding freedom and democracy. These shared benefits in democracy and regional security have allowed our security forces to forge strong bonds of friendship and cooperation. Nepal and the United States signed a Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact in 2017, under which US will provide 500 million in grant to Nepal for improvement of roads, cross-border transmission lines, and 300 kilometers of roads and maintenance work in Nepal for a period of 5 years. I believe it is in our interest to be able to sell our surplus energy to third countries and earn revenue. MCC is the largest ever bilateral grant agreement between Nepal and the United States. The grant came to Nepal because Nepal improved its governance, improved its human rights record, improved its social indicators. 16 out of 20. Let us not forget that we were selected through the competition because of the then government's high commitment for democratic framework for governance. Indo-Pacific strategy is what I read is said to counter the China-centric view of the global order. If I understand, Indo-Pacific has two oceans, Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. It is too large and vague to provide the basis for a strategy. China is also a part of the Indo-Pacific geographically. What America has said that it wants a free, open, and inclusive region. Some in foreign policy circle or political circle see MCC as a counter to Belt and Road Initiative. MCC came much before the BRI was even conceived in 2013. We want to have more connectivity, more infrastructure for our development. Whatever components in both MCC and BRI we find in conformity with our national interest, we take them. And if they are not fully aligned with our priorities, we decide accordingly. Nepal is not aligned to any country. We make our own decision. We exercise independence of opinion and action on every issue. There is no question of taking any sides. Nepal judges every issue on its merit without fear or favor, and then forms its national position. This is what our position should be. We do not want any power rivalries in our territory. We believe in real politics for pragmatic and practical reasons. It is this policy that we followed in the past, even during the high days of Cold War, and took help from all sides and continued our independence of action and judgment. For both of our neighbors and the USA and Europe, given its strategic location, Nepal is emerging as a geopolitical necessity. I think, let me refer to the three important events last week in Europe that have bearings in this part of Asia. US President Joe Biden attended G7 summit in England, had NATO meeting in Brussels, and summit meeting in Geneva. All three meetings are important not only for them but also for countries like Nepal. The first two meetings focused on the rise of China and its human rights records and peace in the Taiwan Strait. As we see, China has angrily reacted to it. And then in Geneva, the President Biden of the USA and President Putin of the Russian Federation had summit meeting which was described as constructive. It is my understanding that the US wants to interact with Russia quite firmly, but pragmatically in seeking closer ties in the face of a rising China. I think lastly, we have to be clear that the rise of China is unstoppable. We have to manage it. No containment or no counter. We have to work with China. As we see, within the space of few decades, China has made dramatic progress. When China started its economic reforms and opening process in 1980, China's share of global GDP was just 1.59%. Now, if we see at the World Bank statistics, they suggest that Chinese GDP accounts over 17%, over 16% of the global GDP. I think this is a reality. China is expanding its diplomatic, economic, and military footprints. China has its assertive and in some of the writings also refer to aggressive foreign policy. So I think we all have to work to accept the reality and make room for powers, like it is in the nature of every power, whether it is China or the United States, to maintain supremacy, to be number one. But for a country like Nepal that is very sensitively located between two rising powers, we have to be very watchful. We have to be mindful. We have to watch the developments very closely, critically, carefully, and comprehensively. And then Nepal has to make its own decisions and protect its historic independence. I think I will stop here. If there are any questions, I will come back. And thank you very much.